It was a typical day in Tokyo. Everyone wanted to arrive at work on time, and the subway was packed with people. Suddenly, this Japanese girl got up and gave her seat to an old man. She couldn't let him stand the whole time. But when she realized who the man was, something incredible happened. Girl gives seat to old man, but then the security camera catches something incredible. Hina used the metro to travel to school. She needed to travel far, so a seat wasn't an unnecessary luxury. When she got on the subway, she quickly looked around. All the seats were taken except for one. If she arrived a few seconds later, she wouldn't have gotten a seat at all. She quickly walked to the empty seat and flopped down. Now, she could use the journey to relax before her busy life as an art student would begin. Hina dropped her heavy bag on the floor and sighed in relief, still unaware her life would soon take an unexpected turn. The metro stopped at the next station, and at the end of a long queue of people stood an elderly man. He barely managed to get inside the metro on time and looked through the metro looking for a seat. But the metro was packed, and everyone seemed to ignore the man. Hina watched in awe how nobody was ready to help the old man. She got up when he was close to her, even though she valued her spot immensely. "Here, mister, take a seat, please," she offered. The man looked at her appreciatively and, with some struggle, managed to sit down. When Hina offered the old man her seat, he opened his mouth and mumbled something. She couldn't understand it, so she smiled kindly, saying it was no problem. The man clearly wasn't used to acts of kindness, as his face was full of surprise. Does she know this man? During the ride, Hina occasionally checked on the old man by looking over her shoulder, and every time she would do this, he was already looking at her. How odd. Did they know each other? Was that why the man behaved so oddly? Did she forget something? No, that couldn't be. The old man kept staring at her during the remainder of the ride. At first, Hina didn't mind and just ignored it, thinking he would eventually stop, but he didn't. "What is he doing?" Hina mumbled under her breath, but she couldn't stand by when the metro stopped at the station. The old man wanted to get off at this station, but struggled immensely to get up and leave the train. So Hina pushed her feelings aside and helped the old man once again. Once outside, the man thanked her heartily and wished her a good day. Then, Hina returned to the metro. "What a start to the day," Hina mumbled with a smile. Not much later, she arrived at her own stop and got off. Then she suddenly realized her bag. She ran back onto the train to grab her backpack and sighed with relief when she grabbed it. Then something else caught her attention. On the seat she gave the older man was an envelope. Confused, she grabbed it off the chair and saw there was no writing on the outside. The old man probably forgot as she looked around while thinking about what to do. She couldn't just go back, so she pocketed it for. Hina stepped out of the metro and started walking toward her school. She placed the envelope in the front pocket of her bag and would try to track down the old man in her free time, as she thought the envelope probably belonged to him, not knowing where this would eventually lead her. On her way to school, Hina's thoughts kept returning to the envelope. What would be in it? Should she take a look? She shook her head. You shouldn't look into someone's privacy, but maybe it would help her find him. Her thoughts went back and forth, and then she arrived at school, changing everything. Hina set foot on the school grounds when she noticed a group of girls running toward her. "Hina, you're on TV," one of them shouted. Hina was bewildered. She was on TV, but before she could ask, Hina got dragged into an empty classroom where one of the girls showed her the footage. Shocking Hina. Footage showed a subway compartment, which I immediately recognized. It was the one she was in just moments ago. The video showed security footage where an old man got out of the metro with the girl's help. After this, the video cut to the old man, who said something unbelievable. "I accidentally left a very, very important envelope on the subway, and I really need to get it back," the old man said. When Hina heard this, her hand instinctively moved to the front of her back. Her thoughts were right. He did leave the envelope there, but the video wasn't over yet. The video cut back to the security footage showing Hina picking up the envelope. Then the man returned on the screen looking desperate. "To the girl who found it, please reach out to me," he said. Without hesitation, Hina started to run toward the subway. You'd seen at which station the man was. It was just one stop from the station closest to her school, so maybe the man was still there. When Hina sat down in the metro, he checked the front pocket of her bag, making sure the envelope was still there. To her surprise, she noticed the envelope wasn't sealed. She saw what was inside. "What?" Hina said loudly as her eyes grew wide. Inside the envelope was a big, intricately designed key. She frowned, wondering what the key would lead to. It looked valuable, so Hina could understand why it was important for the old man. She was happy to see she was almost at the right station. Moments later, the metro came to a halt in the station she saw on the footage. Okay, what now? Heine mumbled. It was quite a big station as it had 6 platforms. Would the old man still be here? And if he was, where would he be? Yeah, she started to run over a platform. Hina's heartbeat increased from all the running, and she started panting, but then she saw him. The old man was sitting on a bench on the other side of the station. She rushed toward him. Excuse me, Hina said, "You left this envelope on the train, and I wanted to return it." The old man looked up at her, his eyes widening in surprise. "Thank you, young lady," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. I kind of handed in the envelope. "This key is very special to me," the man continued. "It has been in my family for generations, and I was worried I'd lost it forever." Hina smiled at the man, happy to have been able to help. "I'm just glad I could return it," she said. The old man smiled and told her she reminded him of his granddaughter, always ready to help, just like you. Hina smiled and said it wasn't a problem, and then something incredible happened. Hina's curiosity gained the upper hand as the questions blurted out. "What does the key open?" She slapped her hands in front of her mouth in surprise, but the old man just smiled. "I can show you if you like," he said. Hina agreed in an instant, not knowing how it would turn out. Hina was surprised the old man invited her to come with him. Why would he invite someone with him to something that was so important to him? The more she thought about, the weirder it got, and she started to worry a little. But the old man couldn't harm her, right? To get rid of some of her worries, Hina started to ask the old man some questions, and to her surprise, he was very open. Her worrisome thoughts instantly vanished as the man explained that the key belonged to a bank vault containing his family heirloom. He would love to show it to her. Hina hesitated for a moment, but then agreed to come. They boarded the subway train and rode silently, the old man clutching his small bag close to his chest. She realized the old man was clutching the key for dear life. When they exited the station, he led Hina through a maze to the bank. The old man greeted the bank manager with a nod, and they were led down a hallway and into a room with a large vault. Once the manager left, the old man fumbled with the key and eventually opened the vault with a loud click. When the heavy vault door swung open, Hina gasped. The vault was filled with objects made of gold, precious stones, and boxes. But what caught her attention was a small, beautiful Japanese statue sitting on a pedestal in the corner. The old man saw Hina looking at the figure and did something unbelievable. He lifted it off the perch and gave it to her. "This is for you to show my gratitude," the man said. Hina was taken aback. She only did what she thought was right. She didn't deserve this. Hina shook her head, not accepting the gift, but the old man insisted on it. "Without you, I would never have been able to get back here," he explained. Hina felt a sense of gratitude wash over her. She knew the statue was worth a lot, but its actual value was in the kindness that brought it to her. Hina couldn't help but feel connected with the old man. They shared something special, both unaware this wasn't the last time they would meet. After receiving the statue as a reward, Hina got curious about its value. She had never owned something like this before and wanted to ensure she cared for it properly. Months later, she took the gift to an appraiser to learn more about its history and value, not ready for what he had to say. The appraiser was fascinated by the statue's intricate design. He explained that a renowned artist made it during the Edo period and was worth over $10,000. Hina was amazed by the statue's value and history. She took the appraiser's advice and felt proud of her decision to return the old man's key on the subway. As she made her way home, she thought about the statue's history and how it had been passed down through generations of the old man's family. She felt honored to have it and promised to take good care of it. This was an object she could never sell. But this wasn't the end. One day, about 8 months later, she came home and noticed something was not right. A cold breeze drifted into the passageway as she entered the living room. Then he saw that her room's window was open. Next, she quickly looked over to the cabinet where her statue stood. It was gone. Someone stole it. Hina sat in her room staring at the empty space where her statue had once sat. The statue was a priceless artifact to her. It had become a symbol of her own heritage, and she couldn't believe it was stolen. But something was left behind, a note that read, "You'll never see it again." She felt utterly helpless and didn't know where to turn. That's when she remembered the old man who had gave her the statue. She picked up the phone and dialed his number, hoping that he would be able to help her. They regularly kept in contact anyway. "Hello?" The man's voice crackled over the phone. "Hello, it's Hina." She said, "I need your help. My statue has been stolen." There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line. "Okay, I'll be there as soon as possible," the old man said. True to his word, the old man arrived at Hina's house just a few hours later. "Tell me everything," he said as soon as he arrived. Hina explained everything, and the old man listened intently. He asked her questions like whether her window could be opened from the outside and whether she knew anyone who might want to steal it. Eventually, he concluded the thieves were probably black market dealers. These were people who dealt in stolen artifacts. The old man had a vast collection and was aware of dealers in the black market. He promised Hina that he would help her retrieve her statue. The following days, the old man went to work. He made calls, talked to people, and used his connections. Hina was amazed by how quickly he was able to find leads. He seemed to know everyone in the business and could get information nobody else could. Finally, the old man had a lead. He had heard that a group of dealers recently acquired a statue that matched the description. Dealers worked from a nearby city, so Hina and the old man traveled there together. When they arrived, they could start their search for the statue. But where would they start? The old man didn't have any contacts around here. What do we do now? Hina asked, but she didn't like his response. The old man thought about it for a second. Then a slight smile appeared on his face. Well, it's quite easy, actually, he said. Hina looked at him confused. In what way was this possibly easy? The old man then explained they just needed to go to the shadiest part of the city. They visited seedy bars and talked to people who knew the underground market. They asked around discreetly, trying to gather information about the stolen statue. The old man knew these circles well and used his knowledge to get more information about the dealers, but they had to be very careful. As the old man told Hina beforehand, they didn't find the statue instantly. Finding the right people to talk to was time-consuming and meticulous work. One day, they entered a sketchy bar and found someone with valuable information. Hina's heart was stuck in her throat, but the old man took the lead. Hina looked around carefully, clenching her skirt with her hands. The old man was talking to a suspicious-looking man, but others were staring at her. This isn't good, she mumbled, and then she got the scare of her life when she felt a hand on her shoulder. But it was from the old man. Let's go, he whispered softly, and Hina followed him outside. Once they were back on the street, the old man explained that he found the dealer's hideout. They were holed up in a warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Hina felt a warmth inside her body. They were going to get her statue back. They arrived at the warehouse under the cover of darkness and saw several shadowy figures moving inside. The old man approached cautiously while Hina waited in the car. The old man struck up a conversation with the dealers, and in no time, he convinced them to sell the statue. Little did the criminals know the negotiations were just a distraction to keep them busy. While the old man negotiated, called the police and told them exactly what was happening. Not much later, the sirens blared and the thieves were apprehended. Before Hina knew it, she was holding the statue in her hands. Hina and the old man were so happy their search led them back to the statue and apprehension of the thieves. Hina didn't know how she would ever thank the old man, but he was happy the statue was returned to its rightful owner. They traveled back together and formed a strong bond.